from the city of Lucknow, I grew up in a very protected environment. Being the youngest of 4 accomplished sisters, I received a lot of love and inspiration at home. I was educated in Loreto Convent, Lucknow, and then moved on to follow my father's profession of joining the Indian Police Service in the year 1995. This was the first taste of my dreams coming true. This meant a lot of transformation in my life. It meant weaning away from a life of very secure and protected environment to becoming a provider of security myself. It meant inner re-engineering, training, mental toughening, and skillful planning to accomplish serious work of the highest order in a profession called police. But it was my singular devotion. It was my singular devotion, focus, and determination to achieve beyond measure that stood me in great stead. My training was double-fold. One on the professional side and the other on the personal side. While I was under training in the National Police Academy at Hyderabad, the premier training institution for training IPS officers of the country, my mother, the anchor of my life, passed away. And I could not go home. I could not go home even to attend her funeral. This was the first lesson derived from life, what duty is all about. And that duty stands before the self. It was at the academy, the National Police Academy, where I met the love of my life, my batchmate, my soulmate. Life was so beautiful, perfect, and happy. Soon we were in a wedlock, and then came the birth of my son. Motherhood, as you would all agree, is the most beautiful feeling. Cradling your own offshoot is the most amazing feeling in this world. Motherhood is where all the love begins and ends. But soon I realized this wasn't easy. The pressures of raising a new family versus the pressures of handling a high demanding job was enormous, and it required an indomitable will and spirit to overcome these pressures and to balance the two. As a woman cop those days, life was even more challenging, for we not only had to work hard, but we had to work twice as hard to prove our worth and at the same time win hearts and minds at home. This meant that I really had to develop myself, my strengths intrinsically. I had to organize myself better. I had to multitask to keep both the home and office front satisfied. Initially, I felt like a vending machine churning out one job out of the other. But gradually, the balancing act worked, and I could surmount these previously insurmountable difficulties. I also had the blessing of a very supportive spouse, my husband, who was not only an achiever himself, but prodded me on to be an achiever for myself. But this was not to last for long. The secure nest of my husband soon eroded with the event of 4th October 2000. And as I stand here before you, I get transported to this event of my life, which brought about a complete metamorphosis in me. 4th October 2000, place Ranchi, self posted as Superintendent of Police, District, Ranchi City. I was returning back after a major bandobast duty for the puja celebrations. Suddenly, a murder got reported in the city, and I rushed to the scene of crime. From the scene of crime to the post-mortem unit, from the post-mortem unit to the mortuary, and from the mortuary to the family of the bereaved. I had had a very long and grueling day. In the evening, when I returned back to my office, and just as I sat on the office chair, a phone bell rang. I took the call, and the caller asked me, "Is this Anupam, madam?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, your husband, who is Superintendent of Police of District Lohardaga, the erstwhile district of Bihar, has met with an accident. Or maybe he has been shot. Maybe he is serious. Maybe he is seriously injured. Maybe they are taking him to the hospital." And saying this, he hung the call, leaving me in a state of utter shock. My husband was martyred and slain at the altar of duty while fighting the outlawed in Bihar, which was affected by left-wing extremism those days. The nation mourned the killing of a son of a soil, but my world came crashing and crumbling down as I was widowed at an early age of 29 and my son orphaned at the age of 1. But my profession had taught me to stand tall even in the face of adversity. So I shouldered his coffin and rose to pay my last salute to him in uniform, just as his body was being consigned to flame, resolving to play the role of father, the best father to my son, and to be a good officer to the nation. It wasn't easy. I share this with you. It wasn't easy raising a small child as a single mother, single-handedly, with such a busy work schedule. I recall every time I went on night round or night patrolling and drew out my personal weapon from the cupboard, my little son, he would cling to me. He would cling to me, fearing that he might lose his mother. He would not want me to go. He feared he might lose his mother just as he had lost his father, whom he tried to locate in the sofa covers and cushions, believing that to be his father's coffin. I stood courageous and decided that I am going to lead a life of grace and dignity, professionally excelling and in control of my life. Something inside me told me that I need to set an example to the millions of other widows who are leading a life of utter helplessness and absolutely dependent on others, crying to their destiny. This was no mean task. It required a lot of courage on my part. My father was there as a big pillar of strength. But I knew this, that it is only me and me alone who could change the course of my destiny, and none other could do this for me. I wanted to break the glass ceilings. I wanted to break the glass ceilings of what one could achieve even in the hour of grief. And I know there is no limitation to what you can accomplish except the limitation of your own thinking. So I immersed myself in my unfinished responsibilities of my little child and of my profession, rebuilding my life inch by inch. But this personal sensitization went a long way in helping me in my profession in the later years of life, in the Central Reserve Police Force to understand the woes of the families of the martyrs of the nation and what we need to do to reach out to them as a department promptly and with all the humility at our hand. The time came for resettlement, and I was remarried. I tried to gather courage to give happiness yet another chance. It wasn't a marriage between two individuals. It was a marriage between two families. Here was me and my son, and there was my new husband and his two children. Both of us had lost our previous spouses. It was a new family that we had to start out of these two families and create happy spaces for each one despite the emotional struggles of the past. Again, the unusual had happened to me. New children, 4 sets of grandparents, and complex emotional struggles. It seemed all so chaotic in the beginning, but together as a team, we tried to integrate everyone into the fold. The efforts of all worked as we jointly tried to give a good life and good education to these children. But it wasn't easy. We drew strength from each other in this difficult phase. This was a particularly difficult phase for me in life, as at that point of time, I was serving the National Police Academy as the course director for the basic course training of the IPS probationers. I had to set personal standards. I had to be a role model to the probationers, which I did with unparalleled commitment to train nearly 500 IPS officers of the country, and at the same time raise a new family with the support of my husband. It was a daunting task and was possible only because of my inner strength and a belief in myself. The doctor announces stage 4 metastatic cancer to my husband. We stood there in utter shock, disbelief, and fear, as if it was a death warrant. I clasped the hands of my husband and promised to him that we will together fight it out, and I will make sure that he is a cancer survivor. We decided we will not give up in the face of yet another adversity in life. For 3 years, we battled our destiny. Every second, third day was a state of emergency, but we did not give up living. We did not give up living. In fact, it was at our workplace that we gave our best despite the defying and trying circumstances. We lived up to every social obligation, and we even went for a family holiday where all of us parasailed, including my husband. It was like living at the edge of fear of death every moment. The drama of life continued till my husband closed his eyes forever and ever in March 2016, leaving behind his 2 children whom he wanted to remain with me. I had lost him, but I had won his trust and faith and the love of his 2 children. Believe me, this was a huge, huge prize money for me, even in the hour of my biggest loss. But once again, solitude and sorrow began to engulf me. But this time, I had 3 children to take care of. My son, he told me, "Mother, rise, take charge, and do what you have always wanted to do." So I thought, the past should be the past. So I started reweaving the threads of my life and refocusing on my profession and raising my children. I received a lot of support from my workplace, and soon I was assigned the role, a very challenging role of provisioning and equipping the world's largest paramilitary force, the Central Reserve Police Force, which is nearly a 3.5 lakh force. I have a lot of firsts to my credit there as well. But believe me, I had to move mountains to overcome my sorrows and my losses to contribute to this great force, but the results were extraordinary. Life is like the womb of a mother. With labor pain, it contracts, and with childbirth, it relaxes. The cycle goes on. Life has similar resilience. We need to be aware of it. We need to be aware of our inner stillness and break away from the pain body. I have chosen happiness, and I wish so would you in all your trials and tribulations. The values ingrained in me by my parents, my teachers, my training, and all those who've mentored me along the journey of life remain to be my invaluable possessions. Adversities may happen, but it is how I responded to these adversities that define my character and my quality of life. I could have chosen to lead a life of perpetual sadness, immobilized by the gravity of my loss. But no, I chose to rise against the pain and treasure and celebrate the most precious gift that is life. Thank you so much.